there, I'm Trisha and welcome back. In today's video, I'm gonna be freaking out a little over some books in the mid-year book freakout tag. So this tag was created a couple years ago by Ellie from Earl Grey Books and Chammy from Is That Chammy. I will link both of the original videos down below. Before we get started into this video, I have a little bit of a slightly different setup from my other videos, just a slightly different angle. I'm just testing out some new angles and to see what I like. So let me know in the comments down below, did you like this particular setup? And we're gonna get right on into the tag. So question number one is the best book you've read of the year so far. And I'm gonna go with Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. This one I read for the first time this year, earlier this year, and I thought it was a stunning third book in the series. I love all of the characters in this series, and I am so excited to see how everything is tying together, and I cannot wait for the next book in the series. Question number two, the best sequel you have read so far this year, and I'm gonna go with A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is one that I'm, a little late on the bandwagon for, I guess, but I really enjoyed this as a sequel, and I thought it has been the strongest out of this series so far. Question number three is a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. And I'm gonna go with Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. This came in an owl crate a couple of months ago. I have been putting it off because I haven't been quite in the mood to read a sci-fi, but this is one that I definitely want to get to this year. Question number four is your most anticipated new release of the second half of the year. And I'm going to go with What If It's Us by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli. I am so excited for this book to release. I love the premise of it. It sounds so sweet, and I haven't read anything by Adam Silvera yet, but I have a feeling he is going to be an author that I'm going to like. And I have loved both Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda and Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli, while also really enjoying The Upside of Unrequited as well from her. So this is one that I cannot wait to get to this year. Number five, the biggest disappointment so far this year. And I'm going to go with Blood and Chocolate by Annette Curtis Claus. I have a full spoiler-free discussion up on this one. I will link it in the card for you. This is a book that I read back in high school, held it up on a pedestal as a 5-star read for many, many, many years, and I decided to give it a reread because I was in the mood to reread it. It sounded like something I wanted to get into. For those of you who don't know, it's about Vivian, who's a werewolf, and her pack is kind of fracturing after the death of her father, who was their pack alpha, and where they had to move to after the death of her father. She finds herself kind of drawn to a human boy at school, and she has to decide if it's worth it to expose her secret to him and ultimately betray her pack. Sounds like a great premise. This was extremely disappointing as a reread, and I gave it 1 star. Number six, the biggest surprise book of the year. And I'm gonna go with one that I had no idea really what it was about going into it, and that is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is one that I read for the Muggle Studies Book Club, and I didn't know anything about it other than the fact that it is adult fantasy and it featured assassins. It was one that was also a really big surprise for me because I was going to DNF it at about 70 pages in. I switched over to the audiobook, and it upped my enjoyment factor on this so much, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Number seven, a new favorite author, either new to you or a debut author. I am going to go with Patrick Rothfuss. He wrote The Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fear. I read Name of the Wind on audio earlier this year and loved it. I was not really sure what to expect because there is so much hype surrounding this book, but I really enjoyed it. I loved his writing style, and I cannot wait to read the second book in the series, Wise Man's Fear. Number eight, new fictional crush. And I don't have an answer for this one because a lot of the books that I have read this year are YA books, and like, while I think that some of the characters in them are cute or like kind of great for other characters in the books. I, however, am not finding myself attracted to them because of the age difference, because I am in my late 20s. That's a little strange to me. So I guess like I'm finding them cute together, but nothing that I really crush on myself. Number 9, new favorite character, and I'm gonna go with Jude from The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I read this right at the beginning of the year, and she is so far still one of my favorite characters that I've encountered in a book this year. I really enjoyed her and the struggle that she undergoes with not really fitting into the Fae world, not really fitting into the human world, and her desire to really belong in the Fae world. I feel like she's kind of like a Slytherin in that respect, and her drive and determination in that, and I really connected with her on that level. So I really like her as a new favorite character of mine. Number 10, a book that made me cry, and I'm gonna go with The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. This is one that made me tear up out of joy, out of sorrow. It is so sweet and very whimsical. I will have a spoiler free review for this. I don't know if it's up yet. If it's up yet, I will link it in the card for you. Number 11, a book that made you happy. I'm gonna go with Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albert Holly. I read this for the Muggle Studies book club and read it right before the movie came out, and this whole book had me smiling like a fool through the entire thing. It was so sweet. I actually am kind of feeling like maybe a reread sometime later this year. Number 12, the most beautiful book that you bought this year. And for this one, I am going to go with one that I just, every time I look at it, I just fall in love with it over and over again, and it's one that's spaced out on my bookshelves for that reason, and that's Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. I read the book that she came out with just prior to this called Alex Approximately. This is one that I have not gotten to yet, but I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I love the way that this one was designed, so I can't wait to get to this one. Number 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And there are a lot of books that I need to read by the end of the year. Most specifically, I need to read books that are on these two shelves that I owned prior to the start of the year. I'm keeping track of books that were on my physical owned TBR, and I'm trying to whittle them down. However, I do have a couple of books that I need to get to before the end of the year. And very specifically, that series is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco. I need to read Stalking Jack the Ripper and Hunting Prince Dracula before October, I believe, because Escaping Houdini, that's it. Escaping Houdini releases in October, and that is going to be the Muggle Studies Book Club pick of the month for that month. So I need to read Stalking Jack the Ripper and Hunting Prince Dracula first, so definitely got to do those by the end of the year. And number 14, favorite book community member. And I can't really pick just one person for this question, because this is going to be the first full year that I'm spending on BookTube. I started my channel at the end of last year and have met so many amazing people since the beginning of the year, since the Strike Back Videoathon and the small YouTuber army and all of that happening earlier this year. I've met so many amazing people, and I am just so beyond words at how happy I am and how amazed I am to be a part of this community. So I can't pick just my favorite person because there's so many people to name that I'm sure I'd forget someone. So that is it for the mid-year book freakout tag. I am not going to tag anybody in this because this happens every year. Everybody does this pretty much, so I'm not tagging anyone. However, if you have seen me do this video and you decided to do it because you saw me do it, leave me a link in the comments below. That way I can check out your video. And now is a perfect time, if you have not already done so, click that little subscribe button down below if you'd like to see more content from me in the future. And if you want to follow me elsewhere on the interwebs, I have all of my social media links in the description box down below, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!